What's up YouTube, Malware to Matt here. As you can see, we are back with Zero again. We are now into the start of set 2 / event clan decks. And I'm actually going to be showing you a different style of OTT, which was the clan event. Normally most people will be showing off the Susanos, but for me, it's, in my eyes, a bit lackluster at the moment. It's still missing so many parts. So whilst I have picked up Susanos, Akemi Kazuchi, and the other parts, I'm actually going for a different style, and I'm revamping Battle Sisters. Because Battle Sisters got a bit more support as well. Let's look at the list. Starting off, we are sticking with the usual starter of Counterblast 1, Chuck It in Soul, Search deck, Top Deck 5 for a grade 3. Still really good card. Not going to be changing because it is a Battle Sister name. Will change later down the line as we get the G Battle Sister starter, but for now it's going to be staying around. Then grade 3s. We are still running our 4 copies of Battle Sister Fromage. Fromage has got 2 skills. First one is Limber Break 4. If you've got 3 or more Battle Sister Rearguards, you can Counterblast 2 and draw 2. Really good for filling up your hand. Then obviously, second skill is Vanguard Rearguard Circle. If you have 4 or more other Battle Sister Rearguards. Sorry, 4. Not other, sorry, just 4 more Battle Sister Rearguards. She gains plus 5k, so she's a 16k swinger, Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. Really nice card. We then do run 1 copy of this. It can be the Legion as well. Both do work. But we're going with Path A. Her skill is Limp Break 4. If you 2 or more Rearguards, she gains power plus 3000 and the skill of when this unit attack hits, you draw a card. Second skill is literally Counterblast 2, draw a card. You don't use that. You honestly, it's just filler, is the honest response. It's really not used in the deck. Next card is the new card that came for Battle Sisters in this wave of support. And this is Battle Sister Mille-Feuille. Mille-Feuille's skill is GB2, Counterblast 2. Look at top 2 cards you deck, choose one to put to your hand, and the other one goes to the bottom of your deck. So it's a slight upgrade from Path A in the fact that it's, instead of being draw 1, it's check top 2 and add 1. You can actually filter what you want, keep your triggers in deck. And second skill is when she's rode, you can Soul Blast 1, Counterblast 1, and draw a card. So really good skills. We do run 9 stands because Battle Sister is a heavy draw, adding to hand deck. Do want to restand and actually apply some form of pressure with the deck. Moving on to the grade 2s, we are obviously Tom the Clan, so we do run 2 copies of Mr. Silent Tom. Skill is when he attacks a Vanguard, he ignores Sentinel cards. Can still be Heal Guard blocked, but with stands we can utilise Rearguard to Rearguard, Vanguard to Rearguard, restand in the other side, then taking out the Heal Guardian, so then Tom can then finish off ignoring the PG. We then do run 3 copies of the Battle Sister 12k Attacker. Macaron is still in the deck. We then do run 4 copies of another Countercharger, which is the Battle Sister Pudding. Her skill is when her attack hits the Vanguard. If all your units are Battle Sisters, you can Countercharge 1, choose one of your Battle Sister Rearguards, and it gets power plus 3000. So, really good card. Helps scaling. A lot of early game pressure. Countercharge is really nice to deck because you do Counterblast a fair chunk. Then we do finish up with 4 copies of one that I've not been too fond of for a long time. Her skill is Counterblast 1 when she hits anything. You can look at top card of deck. If it's a Battle Sister card, add to your hand. If it's not, you leave it on top of your deck. We are running, obviously, the non-Battle Sister heals, so our heals do stay in deck, which is really nice. So it does work quite nicely. You do end up with the chances of hitting Silent Tom, Tom being stuck on the deck, or you do have a chance of hitting a stand trigger. But it is the risks we take. Grade 1s, we do run 4 copies of the Battle Sister Perfect Guard, so obviously we can add it off of the Cocotte, which is really good. And we can also add it off of Battle Sister Coco. Coco's skill is when she's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, look at the top card, and you can put it on top or bottom of the deck. But if that card is actually Battle Sister Chocolat, it instead goes to your hand. This was a very nice buff for 0. I would run 4 if I had have them by cutting out one of the 10k attackers. But unfortunately, we don't have it, so can't do anything about it. As I said, we are running 3 of the 10k Battle Sister Attacker, which is really nice. Lots of early pressure. We do finish up the deck with 3 copies of Battle Sister Lemonade, which is Soul Blast 2, Counter Charge 2. You could even cut one of these for Coco, because obviously you don't create as much soul with this deck. You've literally got your 0, your 1, your 2 ride, 3 if you re-ride. You start going into soul. You don't have much soul generation, so you can more than likely cut this down to 2 and still be fine. Strides, obviously, same with how the Novas went. It was hard to get 4 of them, so obviously I stopped at 2 of the Takamikazuchis. So obviously we are getting the 2 Cray Elementals that don't do anything for the deck. But talking to Takamikazuchi, let's cover him first. His skill is Generation Break 2 once per turn, Counter Blast 2, and G Persona Flip, so flip a copy of Takamikazuchi. And then look at the top 4 cards you deck, put 2 to your hand, and the other 2 go to the bottom of your deck. So obviously you do start to create a stack, you filter for your PGs, your units you're missing, really good card. And then our other stride, which is obviously the first one we'll end up going into, is Kirin. Kirin's skill is when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 to your hand, and put the other one to the bottom of your deck. So obviously it's more filtering again. You honestly don't stride that much in Battle Sisters, but it's more they're there for being their sake. So that is the deck profile. I shall see you back in the games in a minute. Alright, we are back in the games now. Let's see who we get paired against. As I'm bulk recording, this is still pre the X/Brawler nerf, so if we face them, they are going to be full power. And we get Gear Chronicles again. Okay. Let's see how we go. So, got the 1, 2, 3, got the ideal actual 1, 2, 3 ride, which is really nice. So, return the heal, get another counter charger, which is really good. So what I'm likely going to do is I'm going to call Starter behind the Vanguard, so I can then work my way up and actually get really good combos off. Well, these plays now force me to put the Starter behind the Vanguard because I need it to get over the 8k. We do hit Lemonade, which is really good for us. I don't need to use the starter right away either, for the fact of, as you can see from my hand, I've got the stride fodder for the first turn, so I can leave it till turn 3 to use the starter to take it in soul. We do lose a heal at the stand already, which is a bit of a downside. But we've got our Mille-Feuille to ride, so we can then draw more, start actually comboing off. Also, with the fact of, with us focusing on Mille-Feuille, which is really good in this matchup, because it then means we aren't committing more rear guards to the field to lose out to Chrono Jet spinning everything back to the board. He is chucking a lot of the vanillas down, so we are going to have to be careful. He's going to try and push us to 2, which I'm absolutely fine with. We do hit a stand defensive, which is good signs for us. And he whiffs. So we do stay at 1. We draw. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be a little bit different here. I'm going to ride. Yes, we won't get the counter charge off this. But it's more I want to swing this at a rear guard. So we'll swing Cocotte to the rear guard. And we then can use its skill to Counter Blast 1, check top card. We do get a booster out of it, which is really good. That's going to help for next turn. And obviously swing at the Vanguard, pushing him to 2. He'll more than likely push us to 2 as well to counteract. So we do have to obviously be slightly careful. I honestly would prefer if he actually pushed us to 3. For the fact of then, we can then counter blast for star to tuck it in to then get a counter charge out of it. But the way he's playing, I don't think that's going to happen. Never mind. We are going to, because he's going to counter blast 2 to spin the Cocotte back to deck. which is good for us because that will then push us to 3. Or not, due to that stand trigger. Never mind, we are going to 3, that's good. Because I want to get the counter charge off this turn. As talking of counter charge, we heal, so we go to stay at 2, but technically a counter charge. So, draw for turn. We are going to ride Mille-Feuille. Get to use Mille-Feuille skill, Soul Blasting out the Legion Mate. Counter Blasting 1 to then draw into Coco, which is really good. We're then going to stride into Kirin. Because we don't actually have any combo piece to go off with this turn. So as I said, discard this. I think what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to rush him to 5. Which I'm going to try and do if we can get a stand on top of the deck. So it is obviously going to be very combo piece reliant that we do get this. Obviously tuck that in. Nothing from them. We're then going to call you down here. See what we get. We get a heal as our top. Ooh, that's actually really good, and I now need to play around that. We're going to keep it on top of the deck. But that now means I'm not going to commit too much of a board. I think I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. Obviously, counter charge 2, so we're then set up for next turn. If we draw into Fromage, we can full on combo off. Still pushing to 4 technically if I hit a stand trigger off these top 3. Obviously, we know the first one is going to be the heal trigger, which is really good for us. I could have technically saved the Lemonade. There's a stand trigger, which is definitely guaranteeing us to be pushing him to 4. But no, as I was saying, I could have saved the Lemonade for a later point when I'm doing more counter blasting. If I'd have thought more about it. Then top 2. We're actually going to grab the PG, because I've actually got a attack at 4 next turn already. And I can then swing to this. But obviously now our GB1's active, I can actually counter blast 2, draw a card next turn. Or if I draw into a grade 3, I can then attack a Mikazuchi. Top 4, add 2. Depending on what the situation turns out to be. But we're in a really strong position here. He's obviously not re-riding. He's debating the stride. Which he does go for. I'm more than likely guessing a Kronos Command Dragon, because obviously that will wipe my back row. Nope, he's just going for the Lost Age. He's only going to be spinning 1, which is interesting. He's got to think, if he's wherever he spins goes to the bottom of my deck, which to me, that's fine, because everything's being stacked to bottom deck as is. Only putting 1 intercept down, which is really good. Especially the fact, obviously, with us playing Macaron, we can utilise boosters a lot better. Because obviously, that being a 12k, will deal with his 10k intercept. And we are going to be forcing a PG from him this turn. As he hits double draw trigger, so obviously his chance of actually having shield in hand is actually increasing. Would have liked to send the Cocotte there to try and actually get a bit of extra hand out of it. But we're not in too bad a position as is. We draw into another PG, so obviously not going to be striding. But I am going to use Mille-Feuille to counterblast 2 and draw. And out of that, I actually want the intercept, not the Lemonade, because obviously we can't utilise the Lemonade anymore because we haven't got the soul. But what I'll do is I'm going to Macaron to one side. I'm going to call this down here. And we're going to call this here. Now, because we haven't seen many stands, we're actually in a good position of we could actually hit a stand trigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Battle Phase. Bring Macaron to this. I'm then going to swing Vanguard next. Obviously, that'll then give us guaranteed counter charge. He does heal. So, thought process is now I'm playing on trigger for the Vanguard to hit no matter what. So if I hit double stand, this side can then hit, as well as the Vanguard still getting to hit. As we said, there's the stand. Stand that. And because we're playing on a double stand anyway, I'm best off doing that. Keeping him at 4 anyway. Yeah, like that. Yes, Vanguard doesn't get to hit, but I can still, at that point, still take out his rearguard. Yes, I could have given Power Vanguard, forced him to 5. But I haven't got Tom, so I haven't got the win con yet. I've got to still dig a little bit further for Tom. So I want to play smart. He's more than likely going to be chucking stuff at us soon anyway. And I've obviously got the 2 face-up counterblast again, so I can Mille-Feuille again next turn anyway. He doesn't reride, so it's more likely going to be a Legion this turn. Which Legion will then spin off 2 cards. One will be intercepts, one will be more than likely the 7k booster. Yep, as we see him return 4 draw triggers back to deck. So from what we can see, this is our budget Chronojet deck. He hasn't got his 4 Chronojets. This will now, yep, as we said, spin one of them. It also means he's now got to commit more the football to actually do pressure. Because pushing me to 5 does nothing to me. Because I've got heal double PG, so he's got to full-on commit stuff. As we see here, he's having to commit so much that it's not an actual booster. Not an actual intercept, sorry. Obviously that takes out that. Then swinging a 14k of nothingness into my Vanguard, which to me is a laugh. He's then swinging with this. That last one is, I'm going to lose my booster. Okay, that's fine. But he then does get his Soul Blast counter charge again. Surprised he's not used his starter to actually get himself the Chronojet that he's been looking for. He does heal, so he does go down to 3. So the most we'll push him to is 5, get us into that Tom for game situation. But obviously Mille-Feuille isn't once per turn. We're not going to stride, because I don't want to commit all my non-PG heal trigger cards. Obviously Cat Blast 2. This situation, double cocotte, so obviously 1 goes to hand. Then obviously Cat Blast 2 again. Checks up 2. We want the Coco, so we can start filtering. Obviously, first Coco down. He actually hits the PG, so 3 add to hand. That's good. So obviously I can now call the second Coco down. We put it to the bottom because it's obviously not a trigger for us. We're then going to call this here. We're then also going to call this over here. But what we can do is this will swing at Vanguard. We now get our counter charge, and I'm going to give 3k to the Coco. Which then puts that to an 18k column. Obviously, trigger will then now allow this to hit a Vanguard unboosted as we hit said heal trigger. So obviously, power to Cocotte and stand trigger. So we're actually getting to force taking out one of his rear guards at the same time. So we're in a really strong position at this point. Well, to utilise this, taking out this. And because of how good our hand is, I'm not too worried about taking out his rear guards. I'd rather start taking out his heal triggers, like so. And actually force him into the situation that Tom can actually get. Because Tom is still going to be our end game no matter what. Obviously no ride, no stride. So he's going to try and Legion spin us. Use the starter. So he's now using that to find his stride fodder for next. He's going to go, yeah, there's his Chronojet, so that's his next turn plan. So we now know that our win con is we have to win this next turn. Obviously, we can Mille-Feuille again next turn to draw an extra card out of it. So we are going to still be going... He's going to spin one of our Cocos, which I'm absolutely fine with. So if we look at our deck side, our deck contents, we've still got one heal left in deck, one stand left in deck. Ideally, I'd like to draw into the last Mille-Feuille off one of our either our draw or our Mille-Feuille draw. If we don't, I'd like it to remain in deck, which it does, which is really good. So, yep, stand and draw. We draw it. There he is. There's Mr. Tom. So we can skip that. And then do this. Top 2. I want the 12k attacker. But now we know there's 9 cards left in deck and about 4 or 5 at the bottom aren't the stand. So it more than likely guarantees the next card is our stand. He has only got 1 heal left in deck. So if that's in hand, we now win this turn. Because obviously this will take out the heal. So obviously columns like this. We'll swing this into here. We'll use Mille-Feuille to attack the Vanguard. First check nothing. Second check nothing. There's the heal guardian block, which is exactly what we wanted. Now we're swinging with Tim Tam Tom. Bang, bang, bang. That is game. Because he can't heal on us. And that's game 1. I shall see you back here in a minute. Alright, we are now back for game 2. Let's see what we actually hit this time. Luckily, I've been avoiding all the Kagurus and the Brawlers, so it's been a nice stream. And we hit the OTT mirror. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm guessing it more than likely it's going to be the Susanoo version or Tsukiyomi, because not many people are... I've not seen a Battle Sisters yet in all my testings. So, oh, that's actually a really good hand there. And only downside, I'd like a different grade 1-2 of Road. Oh, this might actually be the Imperial Daughter version that's been floating around. For those that aren't aware, obviously Imperial Daughter did make a reoccurrence with striding, because obviously you can stride over the Imperial Daughter and not be affected by the resist, and then go back down to a 21k Vanguard on your opponent's turn. So it does take a lot of thought to work your way around, but it honestly is a lot of fun. Due to our hand, however, we... Oh, it's Otohime. Interesting. Surprised that you're using Lulu for Otohime. Yep, it's a Susanoo deck. It's Susanoo himself. So I think it's more Susanoo with the Otohime Legion as his backup Vanguard. Oh, there's a CEO Amaterasu. Either that or it's Otohime CEO and he just not hit a grade 3 and used his got his one-off Susanoo. But he seems to be playing a bit mix of draws and heals. So what we're going to have to do is ride you, because I do need to use you to ideally get Strider Fodder for next turn. Actually, no, do I don't know. Nah, I'm gonna risk it. Oh, that would have got me. Would have done double cocotte. That would have been fine. But no, we're gonna use cocotte now. What do we hit off cocotte? We hit a Mille-Feuille, so we're fine. We're in a good position. Ideally, we haven't got any counter charge, so we are in a bad spot anyway. Obviously, Lulu there. Let's get Soul Blast the other 2 cards and draw. So, it is good for the fact it fills them up for Legion. Pulls Tom down. Yeah, this looks to be a CEO Legion deck with the one-off Susanoo with how it's playing. So he pushes to 3 is where we want to be ideally. But we are losing our lemonades fast. Obviously we ride Mille-Feuille. I'm going to Soul Blast you. to Macaron. We are going to stride into Kieran. I'm not desperate to actually use the starter at this point now. But I do ideally want to hit a booster so I can get some counter charging off. Obviously, at the moment I've got no way to actually hit a pudding at the Vanguard. Obviously we can do that, we can get Macaron, so we can still get 2 attacks to face, push into 4. But we aren't in the best of position. Obviously double trigger will still allow this to hit, assuming that obviously he doesn't trigger. If I see a heal trigger off of the... Oh, as talking of that, we hit a stand trigger. No power there. If I see a heal trigger off the Kieran, I might grab it just so I'm ready for incoming Silent Tom that's going to be coming. Talking of it, yeah, as I said, I want to grab the heal trigger so I'm ready for the inevitable Silent Tom. But now that's how I can't hit, because yet again, I've still not hit any boosters yet, which is the bit we're struggling with. But next turn now, I will have a booster ready for Mille-Feuille. Because I should hit a booster, I should say. Not, I'm guaranteed. But it is another misplay on my part of not move, but keep calling that starter behind the Vanguards. Because it's habit for you to keep playing against Silent Tom the deck. Not Silent Tom the deck, Cargo. Cargo forces you to keep the start behind the Vanguard so you can't lose to a Root Flare. Obviously, I keep getting into the habit of putting it behind the Vanguard. Obviously, the other thing is we haven't hit our Silent Tom yet either. So we haven't got the Tom Wincon. That's fine. That's going to be protected because of our PG. Obviously, we are still old-style PGs. We get to stay at 3, which is absolutely fine. Does mean I don't get my Mille-Feuille this turn. Silent Tom, so the pieces are starting to come together. I think I'm actually going to stride into a Kieran. So how not ideal my hand is. Oh, never mind, I accidentally skipped. That answers that question. So, can do that there. And that there. So I can utilise this to this and actually get a top check for what I'm actually going to see. If it's a booster, it should be seeing our boosters soon. Yep, there we go. Exactly what I wanted to see. I'm going to swing. I'm going to swing Mille-Feuille into the rear guard. First check nothing. Second check nothing. We are just going to be forced into 5 this turn. Draw trigger. Fine. He's oh, interesting. So 3 crits of 15. Riding into Takamikazuchi. Okay. So he's in 3 CER Archer, so it's more like a 6-3 split and a 3-2-3 stuff. Okay. The Coco in hand's really key for us because that now means, well, he's going through a lot of his Toms really fast, so chance of him having a Tom left at the end of this is really low. And whilst I keep chucking out intercepts at him, he can't utilise pushing me too hard. He does heal back down, so I'm actually going to hold my Tom for another turn. Actually, no, I can commit 1 Tom for the fact I've got 2 in hand. And a draw. Because of that, I'm actually going to stride into Kieran. Obviously, Kieran can still get the on-hit filter top 2. And also with the fact that we've got this to help try and filter out what our top card is. PG, beautiful. So we're actually safe from Tom and Vanguard swing now, which is really good. I'm actually going to leave you on top. But we're actually going to utilise a little bit of fun here. And we're going to do this to actually add it to hand. And then call this to rear guard. Obviously, this swings at this. we can now utilise it to add it to hand. Another top check for us next on our finals push. Being unboosted, just on the off chance that we do actually hit a stand trigger. That means we have a chance to actually push a base. As we hit the stand trigger, beautiful. So stand, power. Check. Heal trigger, pushes us back down to 3, which is really good. And no trigger there. And another PG, so a lot of these PGs are being gone now. I grabbed the booster again, for the fact that it still leaves us with a standing deck. And swing at this, force a heal trigger out of his hand for that Tom turn next turn. You see 2 heals, 2 PGs gone. So we're in a really strong position at this point. There's the Otohime. And as you can see from our deck, we've still got 3 stands left in deck, so we're in a really strong position. I think we are at a heal. No, we've got 1 heal left as well, so we're in a really, really solid position. Chance of heal defense is really high, so yeah, as he does, he's got to return that Otohime and the CEO, because otherwise he's not got a Legion mate. That's the one downside about the promo legions. As you see, the arts don't really line up. Yep. So obviously, can use the skill to get more stuff going off. Heal trigger. So there's one of his heals down. Takes a draw. That's absolutely fine as well. So I think my plays, there's my last heal. And I've got a Mille-Feuille. So thinking of striding. Yeah, I'll stride again. So stride skip. Gonna stride into Keeling. Utilise one of the Toms. Leave the other Tom still in hand, ready for the final push. Yep, beautiful, got the macaron, which is what I want. So that there, that there, that there. I'll swing that to that. Swing that there. And then this like this. First check nothing. Second check nothing. Third check is nothing. That's fine. Pushes into 5, which is the damage point I wanted. He's running very, very low on intercepts at this point. And because of our situation, I'm actually going to take you. So I now know the 4 bottom cards on my deck is blank, PG, blank, stand trigger. Got the Coco in hand still to abuse. What I can technically do is use the starter next turn to shuffle the deck. Touch. I can guarantee that bottom stand's not going to be hit on the top 5 check, no matter what he chucks at. Yep, and he scoops, because there's nothing more he can actually do. So that is game 2. And I shall see you guys again in a minute. Alright, and those were the games. Managed to get 2 wins with Battle Sisters, which is really fun to say. First one was really good. Managed to work our way around it. He obviously didn't get to ride Chrono Jet, so he wasn't spinning intercepts as much. But the fact that he was obviously constantly hammering away at our boosters, he had to keep making sure we'd got the 12k attackers, we were scaling right. A lot of pressure, really thought-taking. And the second one being the OTT mirror. Potency having to chuck all these toms at us early game did hurt. Us playing old-style PGs did help in the end, obviously. Protected us from the late game crit trigger. And obviously having the ability to stack our deck, know what was left in the small compressed deck that we had, would have got us the win if our opponent hadn't scooped to us. But that is all for this video. If you haven't done so already, please do like, comment, subscribe. It very much does help the channel. And I shall catch you guys in the next time. Bye-bye.